Okay, good morning, everybody. I am disappointed that everybody knows how to get more commercial work, so we only have 3 or 4 people on this presentation. What's interesting is that I get calls every single week for people wanting to know how they get more commercial jobs. And there's a very involved process if you want to do it the formal way, which is with the prep program. But there's also a simpler way to do it that is not so formal, and anybody can do it. So let's see if we can advance this. So we're going to talk about how we get more commercial jobs. And the bottom line here is that it's not usually the luck of the draw. It isn't just, spread your business cards around or buy a billboard in town and think that somebody is automatically going to call you to do a commercial job. There's a little bit more involved than that in that process, as you will see. It is rarely ever the picture on the right. You rarely ever are going to get a call for one of those buildings that are on the right. Most of the time, you will get a call, or you have developed the relationship with somebody that owns one of the buildings on the left side of the picture. Kind of that old town, old city vibe that you get. So the reality is that just one job a quarter, every 3 months on average, if you just get one of those jobs a quarter, it would mean an extra $50,000 in profit at the end of the year. And if you're making, maybe you're getting a 5% commission. I know it varies from no commission up to 5% usually. That's an extra $2,500 in your paycheck as a marketer. So it's not anything to sneeze at, and it's pretty simple to build those relationships. The first and foremost thing that you need to do is create awareness. They need to know that you're there, that you exist, that you can help them. And beyond that, you have to build a relationships with the owners and managers of those commercial buildings, those right there on the left. So you also need a very high visibility on social media. And I'm really talking about, and I don't like Facebook, but I am really talking about Facebook and Twitter and Parler and a whole variety of other social media, including YouTube. But one of the often overlooked places that you can build connection, relationship in your local community is on LinkedIn. Many of us have lots of connections on LinkedIn. I have several thousand, and mine is a little different because my connections are all over the United States. But you can build connections on LinkedIn local to yourself, to your business, to your hometown. I want to talk about 5 key steps that you can engage with to build relationships. You never ever think about it, but I've listed what A through K on this slide of all kinds of businesses that you already know. It's very, very good, or a very good chance that you know your doctor or you know your dentist. If you're always banging up your vehicle, you might know your auto body shop, your auto repair shop needs service. You might know your local small grocery store. You probably know chamber members and restaurants that you attend and insurance agencies that own their own building, and there are some. So every single visit that you make to every single business in your community, you should be leaving them a business card. You should be giving them, and again, I don't like tchotchke items. You'll never see me usually handing out pens and notepads, but I can tell you that your business card as a magnet, or your business card and a magnet, something that they're going to stick on the cabinet or on their desk, is very valid. And it's easy to do. It's easy for your local community relationships. It's easy to leave them a business card and a magnet. You also should engage in what we refer to in the industry as edutainment. It's kind of a combination between education, where you're teaching them something, and then you're making it fun. It's entertaining in the article. You can do the two together and reach out to me after this event if you need some ideas on what you should write about and post on your blog site, and also hand them out to your prospective relationships. I already said this, but notepads and candy and pens are generally poor items to leave in a leave behind relationship. Always please get their business card. Number 3, make sure you introduce your company. Don't make it about you, but you do have to make them aware of who you are and what you do, or what company you represent. If you say you're Dick from ABC Restoration, that's probably enough, but you need to make sure that they know that you are local, that you have local crews and equipment available when they have an emergency. They really need to know that you have the skills and the expertise, but most importantly, that they need to know that you can help them recover quickly when they have a disaster. I put number E, I put the last point there at the bottom, because everybody's going to go through the motions of saying, you know, I'm Susie with XYZ Restoration, but what they really care about is themselves. The dentist, the auto body shop, they only care about getting back in business should a disaster happen. It's okay to send them a quarterly newsletter. If you try to do it monthly or weekly, I guarantee you that they'll shuffle it off to their spam folder, and then they won't ever view it. So when you send them a newsletter, I recommend that you send it quarterly, about every 3 months, and make the subject line about them and make the newsletter about them. Have it be something of interest to them, not of you. They don't care about how you suck up water. They don't care about the process of how you remove mold. They care about the other things that they deal with on a daily basis. So make your quarterly newsletter about them. And then number 5, and I already mentioned it earlier, but as it relates to social media, especially LinkedIn, especially Twitter, it's so easy and simple to do Twitter. And yes, Facebook and Instagram also. The 6th step, number 6, and I said there are only 5, but there is a 6th step, and it's very, very crucial. Almost nobody does it with your local hometown relationships. And that number 6 is follow up, follow up, follow up. I don't know how to make enough emphasis on the concept of following up. If you're going to visit your local dentist, not for having your teeth cleaned or worse, a root canal, if you're going to visit them to remind them that you're in the restoration business and you can help them recover quickly, do it every month. If you end up over the course of a year or two with 200 or 300 connections, yes, you're going to have to do it every quarter or every 2 months. But for heaven's sakes, please follow up. There is a more formal process of getting commercial jobs. And that formal process, most everybody that's been with the Crest Network or worked with me over the years knows that it's PREP, stands for Priority Response Emergency Planning, or if you want to insert the word Priority Response Emergency Program. One of the ways is to have that specific manual. You have to be an elite Crest member in order to have access to all of the files in the PREP manual. But you don't have to be a PREP, an elite member to tag all of their shutoffs with your company tag on the water shutoff. Remember, when they have a flood, they're going to be looking, or have a water damage incident, they're going to be looking at their shutoff to turn the water off. If your tag is there, you're going to get a call. Just had that happen recently to one of our clients. It was previously tagged by them several years ago, and then they changed ownership, and lo and behold, they had a flood, a water damage. And on the water shutoff was their tag to call them in case of an emergency. And they called them, and the company did a $125,000 dry down, all because of a simple 15-cent tag that was zip tied to the water shutoff. The PREP program involves a disaster preparedness manual. It's a 1-inch 3-ring binder. It has 100 different documents in it, or pages in it, and they like it. It's a tangible product that they feel really good about. It's got some very, very critical data in it that they love. They're excited to receive it. And so the vast majority are very, very interested in being a PrEP member. I don't know why I have 4 and 4 twice here, but in any event, you should also consider doing a Matterport 3D scan, or if you don't have a Matterport, but you subscribe to Company Cam, you should consider doing a photo exhibit of all of the critical shutoffs and controls in that property. And then that data, whether it's Matterport or Company Cam, should go into the cloud, and that client should have 24-hour access to that information. It's a minimal cost. It's pennies. And if they have access to it, it's going to mean something significant to them. Then last but not least, and I actually was talking about this yesterday with another marketer. She is actively selling the PrEP program, and she was, and on the PrEP agreement, it says that you'll provide a short list of standard pricing. I don't believe it says short list, but it says you'll provide a list of standard pricing. Usually that is comprised of a single page with 10 or 15 of the most common items that you would expect to bill. For example, it might have an air mover on it. Well, they can compare your air mover price with the competitor's air mover price, but you know, as I do, that a dehumidifier, or in this case, an air mover, pretty much bills out at about 25 or 26, 27, maybe $30. And all of a sudden, when you provide them that price list, they can compare your price to the competitor, and they're going to see that you have not jacked the price up. It's still the same prices that everybody charges. So I recommend that you have a what I call a short list, a one-pager price list of your standard pricing. It enables you to remove the risk for them of feeling like you might be wanting to jack the price up when you're providing that. Some of the challenges that you're going to run into, probably the biggest single one, is that this is a long-term process. You can sign up as many as 100 commercial properties in a year, but you know what? You will be lucky at the end of 1 year to be on track to get 6 or 7 or 8 commercial jobs. Now that's one every 2 months. I suggest that you're probably going to end up with one every quarter, but it takes a long time to get volume, to get enough square footage or enough buildings in your portfolio. And it can easily take a year or more. I have a client over in Indiana. It took him 2.5 years to get 38 million square feet on contract. 2.5 years of working full-time, day in and day out, to get 38 million square feet. But the great thing about it is that that client is getting one loss every single month at least, and more. They're getting about 14 or 15 losses a year. because they have so many buildings which comprise so much square footage. So the downside is that it takes a long time to get them all signed up. But the upside is that once you do, you're going to get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 6, at least losses every single year. And that adds up to big dollars. You need to develop a formal pre-disaster program. PREP. I developed PREP more than 20 years ago. I have since continually updated it, refined it, perfected it. We've also perfected the process of how you sell it, because it's not the kind of product that you just easily walk in and ask them for their checkbook and have them write you a check for it. There's a strategy and a process involved. Once you have those commercial properties in place on a PREP program, or without the PREP program in a more simple relationship, you need to do follow-ups. Your follow-ups are building relationships, and people do business with people they like, they're comfortable with, they're familiar with. And so it's important to build relationships. The benefits to them are huge. If you think about it, part of priority response emergency planning, PREP, the first word is priority, and they get priority service when it's needed. You better make a commitment, your owners better make a commitment that if they're in the priority response program, you are committing to giving them priority service. When a major event happens, such as Superstorm Sandy over on the East Coast, when an event like that happens, every single legitimate local restoration company is maxed to the limit. But if they're in the priority program, if your client is in the priority PREP program, you're going to give them priority service, so they don't have to hire an out-of-state dude, an out-of-state chuck and a truck to do the work. Because you know what happens when they hire a chuck and a truck? You could get anybody, Billy Bob with his station wagon and a ladder on top. I mean, you don't know who you could end up with. Priority with the PREP program means they get local and fast response. What it means to them is they get back in business quickly. They don't lose tenants or customers. They don't get stuck with some slimeball bad contractor. And I'm not to imply that every chuck and a truck that comes in from West Virginia is crooked or dishonest or stupid. What I'm saying is they probably don't have the same equipment. They don't have the same expertise. They're opportunists, and that's not good. Your client also benefits from not having downtime, or if they have some downtime, it's minimal, and you make it minimal. When those calls come in, you have several options. Here are your options. You can inspect and then take the project. You can inspect and call in outside resources and support to help you. For example, Scott Tarpley and the drying team and disaster equipment. you can call people like that to help you. Or you could inspect the job and then turn it over to a competitor if you just don't think you're qualified to handle it. You can just simply turn down the job and not give out a referral. Or, which happens a lot because you don't ask for help, you take on the job, you get into a major mess, and you end up hurting your business or your reputation. That's the one you absolutely do not want to do. It would be far better to inspect and turn the job over to a competitor than it would to take the job and then end up in a major mess. So, last but not least, for those of you that are on here who are not Crest members, and I believe, I guess you all are. Sometimes we invite a special guests who are not members, but each one of you that is on this webinar right now, November the 2nd, 2021, just a reminder to you, you each have a username and a password, and you can each log on to crestlibrary.com, and you can view hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of articles, and you can view hundreds of videos. And they're there, they're accessible. You can click on the links to the videos and watch them. Many of them are 5 and 10-minute videos. Some of them are 60 minutes long. They're really in depth. But in the Crest library, you have a number of, for example, they're broken down into owner, marketer, technician, and so forth. But you have access to all of them. If you want to find out what we're telling a technician, click on the ones that say technician and read them. We try to provide good information to all of those different topics. So remember, just go to the crestlibrary.com and log in. You don't have to pay the $99 because you are all members of Crest, and so you already have access to that. But nonetheless, it's up here in the event that you didn't. So most importantly, I want to make sure that you know how to get more commercial jobs, because let's face it, those commercial jobs can make you a lot of extra money. Your everyday jobs that you get from plumbers and insurance agents, that just keeps the lights on, that pays the bills. And commercial jobs, when you get commercial jobs, that's the frosting on the cake. That's extra. And that shot in the arm for 50,000 or 100,000 or $500,000 can be really, really huge to your personal paycheck and to your owner's business paycheck. So again, I'm Dick Wagner. I'm with the Crest Network. Thank you so much for watching. This video will be on YouTube, and I will be sending it to everybody that was on today, of the link, so you can watch it again if you'd like. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.